Good morning and welcome to the Digital Weather Desk powered by Century Next Bank. I'm Jared Floyd. Happy Wednesday, middle of the work week, double digits in the days of September, which means your shopping days are dwindling rapidly. Thanks so much for taking time out of your morning to get a look at the forecast. And it does have some changes, some pretty dramatic changes for the weekend and early next week forecast. And I don't think those changes are done. We take a quick look at I-20 this morning from west to east, from West Monroe, across Monroe. The fog is still out there this morning, but it is nowhere near the hazard that it was yesterday, at least for most of us. We'll get to those visibility numbers in just a second. Good morning, Susie. Thanks for joining in. Temperatures really depend on location because where we are encountering the fog and the stronger southerly winds, a lot of those areas are dramatically warmer than folks along the Mississippi Valley, where it's the upper 30s to near 40 to start the day. We're already in the 40s to near 50 as you move farther westward. Visibility numbers, again, visibility down to a mile in Monroe. Down close to zero in Natchitoches, and there's still some patchy fog to be had out there across the area as well. Chris, good morning. Matus, good morning. Thanks so much for joining in. So again, just depends on location. Exercise caution as you venture out and about this morning as well. By the way, this morning's forecast made possible by ServPro, Monroe, West Monroe, faster to any size disaster. Call or click servpro.com for more. Wind speeds, as I mentioned, a little bit lighter along the Mississippi Valley, except in Greenville, where it's up to 17 miles an hour. And those southerly and southwesterly winds will help to warm up the air as we go through the day. Most of us will see a pretty dramatic warming trend as we go through the afternoon. Look at the infrared satellite, and the clouds are already starting to sneak back in. In fact, the high clouds will probably be a little bit more present through the course of the morning hours. And we also saw some mid-level clouds kind of sneak back in through the overnight. This is also part of the advancing cold front. So there is a weak boundary passing through the area. I don't think a lot of folks will really notice it through the early part of the day, but this afternoon, winds will kick up a little bit out of the north and northwest. Barbie, good morning to you. Thanks so much for joining in. Your radar is made possible by Brown's Roofing. You can schedule a free roof inspection at brownsroofingla.com. No rainfall to speak of now in our immediate area. Could see some showers with the boundary as we go into Saturday, maybe Saturday night. Most of that should be scattered. And the boundary this weekend is still kind of a wild card, and that's what's really caused the changes in the forecast as we go into the weekend. We'll get to that in just a minute. Louisiana Cooker, good morning on YouTube. Thanks so much for taking time out of the day. Futurecast made possible by Bayou Power Sports, I-20 Frontage Road in Monroe. Again, your shopping days are dwindling. Youth ATVs and dirt bikes, Honda, Yamaha. Go see Mike and the gang. They'll get you squared away. They also have all kinds of other stuff. Adult toys, too, in terms of side-by-sides, more ATVs, all kinds of stuff. If you need a motorized vehicle, all-terrain vehicle of some sort, just go see Mike and the guys. They'll get you squared away. Futurecast shows the boundary making its way through the area. Good morning, Patsy. Thanks so much for joining in. That boundary sweeps off to the south and east. The winds will kick up a little bit out of the north and northwest today. Most of that will be a little breezy, but not terrible. Manageable is what we'll call it. High pressure settles in at the surface, and that's going to allow for quite a bit of sunshine for your Thursday, but the winds will swing back around to the south. The depth of the cooler air associated with these cold fronts, a little bit more punchy than they were yesterday. What I mean by that is it looked like today's front really wasn't going to make much of a difference temperature-wise, and it will probably make a good 5 to 6 to maybe 8 degree difference as we go through the day tomorrow. I still think a lot of spots will be in the upper 50s to near 60 degrees for highs, but we will fall out of the 60s tomorrow. It looked initially like that wasn't going to be the case. Janet, good morning to you. As we go through the rest of the week and into the weekend, another boundary arrives on Friday, mainly late Friday morning. And when that cold front moves through, behind it, it does press south and stall, but it initially looked like that first boundary was going to stall and retreat northward as a warm front. And now the computer model data is saying, well, no, this boundary may go ahead and kind of wiggle on through. Yeah, Ricky, we're going to get to that in just a minute. We are going to get cold on Sunday. It's looking colder than it initially was, which, all right, in full disclosure, if you haven't been paying attention to the forecast, the long-range stuff said we were going to get cold, and we were going to get really cold. And then as you got closer, the medium range stuff was like, maybe we'll get cold. And we knew we were going to cool down. We just didn't know how much we were going to cool down. So now we're at a point where it looks like that initial boundary moves through Saturday. We get cooler Saturday, and then the colder air continues to filter in Sunday, Monday. And instead of seeing the 50s for highs, we're probably back in the 40s for highs, and lows dip back into the 20s. Again, it's nothing that we haven't seen already this season. For those that are going, oh, no, he's talking real cold, it's not something we haven't seen already this year, but it will be chilly. Again, that boundary stalled, what have you, gets a reinforcing shot of cooler air on Sunday. So, Ricky, this is what I was just talking about. By mid to late Sunday morning, we get kind of a reinforcing punch of northerly winds, and it brings the cooler air in. Maybe a few showers along the way, and then the cool down is on the way from there. Again, Futurecast shows temperatures today in the low end of the 60s. We cool back into the 30s tonight. This is raw model data. This is not an official forecast. But I also want to let you know that there will be some more dramatic changes to the 7-day as more data comes in through the rest of the day. I made some kind of quick hitting changes just so you could kind of get the general idea, and then we'll get kind of into more of the specifics as we get closer to the weekend. We're still talking Wednesday, Saturday and Sunday versus Wednesday. Good morning, Miss Hannah. I hope you're feeling better. And good morning to Ann as well. Thursday afternoon, again, probably upper 50s, mid 50s. Some areas could hit the 60-degree mark, but the front from today kind of makes the difference noticeable. Friday, still quite warm, back into the mid to upper 60s, maybe even approaching the 70-degree mark. Saturday, cold front has brought some changes, and instead of aiming for 70-degree highs, we may be 50s and 60s, or mid-50s to mid-60s, depending on location. So, again, that Saturday boundary making a little bit more southward progress than initially thought, so it does bring some cooler air, and then the much cooler air starts to entrench in by Sunday morning. So that boundary moves through. We're probably in the 30s to low 40s to start the day. We don't really warm up much in the afternoon. Temperatures either stay steady or they may even fall a little bit as we go through the day on Sunday, and that sets us up for Monday morning where a lot of areas will drop back below freezing. Again, how far below freezing, we just don't know yet. Some computer models were suggesting 28, 29, 30 as our coldest temperatures, and now you're seeing 22s, 23s, and 24s, which does kind of rival some of the coldest air we've seen so far this season. We've been below freezing. We've been well below freezing, but this would probably be a point where we would spend an appreciable time below freezing for the entire area. And again, we've been there so far, but maybe not to that effect. And then Monday, daytime highs will start to rebound a tad. We'll probably be back in the 40s at that point, and then 50s by next Tuesday, and you'll see that in the 7-day in just a minute. So, again, there are some pretty significant changes in that part of the forecast. Forecast rainfall over the next 7 days, not overly aggressive, maybe some 1/4 inch to 3/4 inch totals, and most of that is on the back end of that 7 days with another storm system that returns perhaps by the early to middle parts of next week beyond the cooler air. Low 60s for highs today. Lots of sunshine, but we are working a cold front through the area. Winds will be out of the southwest. Last of the fog should be out over the next few hours. Lows tonight dip back into the 30s. Mainly clear with a light south-southeasterly breeze. Some areas could approach the freezing mark overnight. Probably won't spend a lot of time there, but it's a possibility. 7-day forecast is made possible by 3B Hardware, and again, it does involve some changes. In the clipboard from yesterday had 50s for highs on Monday. We're a good 10 to 12 degree drop there. Laura, good morning to you. Sunday. Yeah, I had us in the upper 40s to mid 50s. So we've seen a good 5 to 7 degree swing in terms of where our forecast highs were for Sunday, and we've seen about a 10 to 12 degree swing in terms of where our forecast highs were for Monday. So that's, in terms of changes to the forecast, that's a pretty big swing. Usually you'd see changes kind of nudged down or nudged up, and I'm not overly confident. Again, cold air, especially this time of year, is really shallow. Cold air just kind of impinges in at the surface, and then as you move higher in altitude, it gets warm rather quickly because that air mass really hasn't been disturbed all that much. You just wedge some cold air at the surface, and then it just gets pushed back north. As we get deeper and deeper into the wintertime months, the colder air gets deeper, and so it stays longer, and it's harder to just push out of the area. So there's a lot of question marks in regards to the depth of this cold air and how much of that moves into our area. We know there's a lot of Arctic air that's going to move into the Ohio and Tennessee valleys, the Great Lakes region, but how much we can get of that, that's the wild card. Too Long Didn't Read comes out about 9:30 in the morning. I'll join you midday with a completely overhauled look at this forecast. Again, these are some pretty dramatic changes for first thing in the morning, but we'll get some data in. Like I said, the 12Z data, which usually comes out between 10 and 11 in the morning. I'm not going to go into the details about all that, but that's usually when that data comes out. So by the midday stream, we will have a completely refreshed forecast, which, again, it already looks fairly different than it did last night. So I'll join you midday, later today, and your fishing game comes out later tonight, and I will be testing out some other behind-the-scenes stuff along the way today. So if you see a weird stream pop up and it's just me and it's like, hey, just don't pay attention to this, then just don't pay attention to it. Thanks so much for stopping by the Digital Weather Desk, powered by Century Next Bank. As always, so glad you're here. Thanks for making this part of your day. Forecast is always available at digitalweatherdesk.com and on the Digital Weather Desk app, available for Apple and Android users. And yes, I still sit behind the scenes and just say Digital Weather Desk like 20 times. It is my company, but I'm still trying to figure out how to say it quickly without tripping over the words. It's tough. Have a great day, folks. I'll check in with you at midday.